Curly girl method.
So overrated. What up, y'all? Welcome back. If it's your first time here, my name is Jannelle. We do all things curly and then some, and today we're doing a video inspired by my internet dad, Gary Vaynerchuk, and we are going to do overrated or underrated curly hair edition. I've got my hubby, Daniel.
Hello.
Daniel did some research on like curly hair concepts, terms, that kind of thing, and he is going to be offering them to me, and I'm going to give my opinion on whether they are overrated, underrated, or properly rated. Let's do it.
Cutting your own hair.
I think it's underrated, to be honest. I've had some really fucked up cuts from people who either claim to understand curly hair or even have training in curly hair, but just really don't listen, or their interpretation of what I want is different than what I actually want. I've given myself some of my better cuts, is the truth. And the nice thing is like, you know, if you do mess it up, you know, you're not stuck with a messed up hairstyle and out anywhere from $150 to $200. So I'm gonna say underrated.
Washing your hair every day.
I think it's properly rated. I think the people that need it do it, and I think those of us that hate it don't.
Denman brush.
For me personally, it's overrated. In general, I think it's properly rated. I think it does what it says it's going to do. I think it gives really good definition. I think it's easy to use. I think it's well made, so it's going to last. For me personally, great on a refresh day. I hate using it on wash day because it over clumps my hair. It makes my hair almost too consistent. And so instead of having a bunch of beautiful flowing consistent curls, they all hug into one or two, three or four curls, and I lose a ton of volume. So for me, overrated, but in general, properly rated.
Protecting your hair at night.
I think it's underrated. It's funny because in the curly world, I think there's more and more people that are becoming aware that it's important to protect your hair overnight, especially for like the health of your hair, longevity of the styling, etc. But I think it's still a like little known secret, if you will. So I'm gonna say underrated.
Air drying.
Overrated. Yeah, overrated. It takes too long.
Root clipping.
Underrated. So underrated. If you have fine hair, if you have a looser texture, if you have low, like medium to low density, root clips are so amazing for getting lasting volume. Once I figured out how to use them years ago, I have not turned back. I love them. I'm going to say vastly underrated.
Curl typing.
I think curl typing, it is flawed in some regards. I feel like it is one of the first places that people who maybe didn't realize that they had waves or a curl pattern. I could be wrong, but I think most of the time it's wavy, people with wavy hair. But so I think sometimes that's the first introduction that people have to be like, oh, there's some movement in my hair, so maybe I do actually have wavy hair. It becomes a resource, you know, because the things that matter more in formulating a routine and knowing to care for your hair are density, porosity, texture, environment, preference, all kinds of things. But that can be so overwhelming initially, just having a visual of like, okay, my hair has some movement to it, and then finding people that also have that similar texture. Also, this is probably going to be a very unpopular opinion. I feel like people with looser textures oftentimes overtype their hair or use things like the word kinky to explain like loose waves, when in reality their hair is not kinky, it is wavy, and kinky is actually a term that is associated with type 4 curls. And so I feel like it is a beginner's resource, no question, but I feel like it starts giving a visual and language to understanding hair. So all of them.
Curly girl method.
so overrated for a plethora of reasons. So the first thing is this is a method. It is not the umbrella of hair care and everything else falls under it. It is under the umbrella of hair care, but it gets treated like it is the go-to Bible, holy grail. This is what you have to do if you want healthy, wavy or curly or coily hair. And it's just really not true. It's kind of turned into this cult phenomena, and I don't even think most people really understand what the method is, the actual curly girl method is. It has been so over manipulated, and now people are saying things like modified CG, and like, in my opinion, you're either following a method or you're not. If I stop diffusing my hair and decide to air dry, I'm not doing a modified diffusing method, I'm air drying, right? So like, you are or you aren't. The other thing is this method pulled existing ideas from other spaces and then just kind of compiled it into one. And there might be some original ideas, but I think most of them are not. I've researched and verified that many of them are not. So there's a lot of whitewashing and essentially erasure for the people that did come up with those methods. Like no pooing, that was something that existed before and outside of the curly girl method, but now the curly girl method gets all the credit for anyone doing their hair, and it's just really not true. Just speaking of the method, I know a lot of people that have had amazing results following it, but I feel like it's a very like short-sighted, you have to fit in a bubble for the method to work. Every place I have lived, I have had hard water, and co-washing, for example, is just never going to work for me on a consistent basis. So I feel like there's a lot of really important scalp health, hair health things that were not considered. Even if they were intentionally left out of the method, it makes it suitable for a smaller audience and not everyone as it is treated by the community.
Being a curly hair influencer.
I think it's underrated. For me personally, I think it's properly rated. I respect the influence that I have. I value and love my community. Outside of myself and considering the community, I feel like it's underrated. I feel like there's a lot of people that have a lot of good information, tips, hacks, that kind of thing that really bring value, and I just feel like the more information, the better. Yeah, so I would say for me, properly rated. Collectively, I think it's underrated. I think if you got some tips and tricks yourself, dive in.
Hairstylists.
Ooh. Curly hair specialists that have actually like invested the time and know curly hair, I feel like are so underrated, but I think stylists in general are somewhat overrated. And the reason being is that curly hair, like specifically, like there's a lot of things that are not taught in school, and unfortunately people have to further their education to get that information, but if they are not doing so, I think overrated. I think those that invest in themselves and their business and their expertise, underrated.
Self-care.
Underrated. For me, self-care is journaling, it's singing, it's experiencing joy, it's experiences in general. It's really deep, intimate things that just like speak to my soul. Going to a therapist, going to your hypnotherapist, cacao ceremony, spiritual healer, whatever it is, I feel like society has told us those things are like a privilege. They are a privilege in some aspects for those that have access to them, but they've been treated as not a necessity when they really should be, and they are. We all deserve the time and energy and space to love ourselves. It's invaluable. So self-care, substantially underrated. Okay, guest spot. It's Daniel's turn. Over or underrated curly hair edition. Definition.
Definition is overrated.
My baby's a volume,
You can
man.
have very beautiful hair without it being super defined. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My baby's a volume, man. Speaking my love language. Curly hair in general.
Underrated. Yeah.
All right, y'all, that is it for this video. Overrated or underrated curly hair edition. I would love to know down below, do you agree with what I thought? And what are some things that you think are over or underrated or properly rated? Let me know in the comments. I will chat with you there. Again, if it was your first time here, my name is Jannelle. We do all things curly and then some. If you haven't already, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? Go hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell while you're at it.
So you do not miss a thing.
So you do not miss a thing.
And I will see you next time.
Bye.